Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Ayaneo Pocket S2 Pro. Keep in mind, they are offering a couple different models. They've got the S2 and the S2 Pro. I've got the Retro Power version, and with the Pro models, you will get a much larger battery and faster storage than some of the other lower-end models. And when comparing this to the original Ayaneo Pocket S2 Pro, we have a faster CPU, much larger battery, even in the non-Pro model, and a larger screen. I've always been a big fan of Ayaneo's overall design for their Pocket S line, and they've just improved on everything for the S2 and the S2 Pro. Round back here, we do have some ventilation because this is an actively cooled ARM CPU. And for good reason, because the new chip they have here does have the ability to hit up to a 20-watt TDP. Taking a look up top here, we've got our shoulder buttons, trigger buttons, and a couple extra programmable buttons. Fingerprint sensor / power button, volume rocker, our ventilation for that built-in active cooler, and all of the buttons up top here have a really neat texture to them. You can definitely feel it, and it just helps with grip. Down here at the bottom, we've got our dual stereo speakers, USB Type-C, a 3.5mm audio jack, and a micro SD card slot. One new feature with the 2S is the swappable D-pad. So inside of the box, you will get an extra D-pad and a remover tool. The one that comes pre-installed is a traditional style D-pad, but you can swap this out for a dish style if that's the way you want to go. And we will be testing both with the fighting game by the end of the video, but it's actually really easy to swap out given that they do provide that tool for us. We'll just go ahead and pop the dish style on here. And it really does feel like we've got dome switches underneath this D-pad. I personally like the feel of the traditional style, but again, we have this option. With the retro power version of the Pro, we do get some gold accents, and I gotta say, this thing looks really good. Triggers feel awesome, and we've got much more throw than I thought they'd have, just given how small the device is. Not too bad. I mean, all the buttons feel great. It's using TMR sticks, and like I mentioned, it really does feel like this D-pad is using dome switches, but I've always been a big fan of the Ayaneo D-pads, at least 98% of the time. They've been really good for fighting games and platformers alike. I can reach all of the buttons here really easily. And of course, first and foremost, this is an Android handheld device. It's actually a premium Android handheld device. We've got a dedicated Ayaneo button, which is going to bring up our smaller overlay. And we will get into this because there's a lot of software that I want to get into. But when it comes to the overall specs of the new Ayaneo Pocket S2 Pro, it's getting the upgraded Snapdragon G3 Gen 3, and this is capable of hitting 20 watts, which is kind of crazy for an ARM chip, but with the cooling system here, it can definitely do it. It's an octa-core chip, and our prime core does clock up to 3.3 gigahertz here. An Adreno A33 GPU with a clock a little over 1 gigahertz here. They are offering this in a couple different RAM and storage variants, so you can go with 8, 12, or 16. They're all utilizing LPDDR5X. For storage, you can get 128, 256, 512, or 1 terabyte of internal storage, but all of these do support a micro SD card. And the higher end versions are using UFS 4.0, but when it comes to the 128 gigabyte version, it's UFS 3.1. It's got a new 6.3-inch 1440p IPS display, 466 pixels per inch, 600 nits of brightness, 120% sRGB, so it's a little oversaturated, which is something I love to see. 90% DCI-P3. It's a really good looking screen here. The 2S Pro comes with a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and you can do 60-watt fast charging. The regular 2S non-Pro model has an 8,000 milliamp hour battery, and that'll do 40-watt fast charging. 2S Pro is coming in at 440 grams, the 2S 428, mainly because we've got that larger battery in the Pro, and out of the box, this is running Android 14. Jumping in here a bit closer, we do have video over USB Type-C. I've also got a mouse plugged in, so you can use this connected to a larger display, but I wanted to give you a closer look at all the software here. Pressing the Ayaneo button is going to bring up our quick menu over here. This is really nice because we can just switch our performance profile directly from here. We've got a streaming, also have a nice little logo going on once we put it into whichever mode we're trying to get into. Gaming and max. Max will give you this warning here. The fan does ramp up and it gets pretty loud, but you're obviously going to get the maximum performance. Fan control down here, low, high, full, custom. Plus we've got a performance overlay. And this is great for just showing us the FPS and everything that's going on with the system. We can go for a detailed view, and this is just going to give us a lot of information here. It'll show our mode, RAM usage, battery, brightness of the screen, all that good stuff. I mean, basically everything you want to know about the system is going to be listed here in the detail view. Taking it down to controller, from the quick menu, we can change our vibration. We can switch the triggers from digital to linear, sensitivity, joystick sensitivity. We can invert the joysticks, set the dead zones. ABXY mode, standard is going to be your Xbox layout. Japanese is going to be more of a Switch style layout. We can enable our gyroscope from here and turbo functionality with the controller. From device, quick menu access for brightness, volume, airplane mode, Bluetooth, charge mode. You can set this to bypass the battery completely when it's plugged into wall power. That way you're not charging the battery, you're just sending power to the main board itself. And you can also set a maximum charge level. Toggle, just quick menu toggles. And we've got our settings from here. We can check for updates, Android settings, and our device settings. But if we move down a bit here, we've got our IA settings. And a lot of the stuff that we just took a look at is in here, but there's quite a bit more that we can kind of mess around with. Log into your Ayaneo account. You can sync your game library that way. Performance is fully customizable here. Presets from Eco, Balance, Streaming, Gaming, Max. Fan control, but if I want to customize this, we'll go to gaming. Our fan mode is set to high. CPU governor, power saving, balanced, we want to be in performance. And for our CPU, we can actually change the frequency on all of these cores here. So we can take it all the way down or all the way up on that prime core to 3.3. Obviously, if you're looking to get the maximum performance here, you're going to want this all out. And in gaming mode, our GPU limit is at 903. But this will clock up to 1050, or we could lock the GPU at the max frequency. And I'll tell you, with most Android games and emulators, you're not going to need to lock this. And, if you do a little bit of tuning here, you want to set this back to default, we can just set it right back from here in each of these modes. Again, we've got our controller, so we've got our RGB effects, joystick calibration. I haven't had to do this yet. Controller mode, keyboard and mouse mode, device, root script, device spoofing. This is actually pretty neat because there are some games and applications out there that, either give you more features or aren't compatible with certain devices. So you can change this, and once you start up a game, it's actually going to spoof it and think it's a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, 13 Pro. It's really up to you, but for the most part, I've been sticking to the S24 Ultra. Custom, you can set a system wallpaper. We've got system updates from here. And I'm fully up to date. I've already got a few updates since having this device. And for the About section, it'll give you a rundown on your system information. So since I've got that Pro model, 16 gigs of RAM with 1 terabyte of internal storage. Now I want to jump over to some native Android gaming, and then we'll get into some emulation with this thing. First one we're taking a look at is Fortnite, and the game runs amazingly. I know this Snapdragon G3 Gen 3 can run this at 60 FPS, but unfortunately, it's not whitelisted to go to 60 FPS, and that's how Epic does it. So right now, if we go into the settings, you can see we've only got 20 to 30, and we could spoof this device and make it an S24 Ultra, but then we run a chance of getting banned, and we've only got the high option, but I know for a fact that this chip has more than enough power to play this at 60 FPS. I mean, it's a pretty decent experience like this, but it would be really nice to go to 60 directly on the device as a Pocket S2. Next up, we've got Grid Auto Sport, and I just set this down stationary to get a better look at everything. I totally forgot that they ported this over to Android and iOS. I bought it a while ago. It runs great here, and this game only does up to 30 FPS no matter what device you're on. I'm at the quality preset just to make it look a little better, and when it comes down to it, this Snapdragon G3 Gen 3 has more than enough power to run any Android game that you can throw at it. You want to do Genshin Impact at high settings, 60 FPS, it's going to run it all day long. Now it's time to see how this thing handles emulation, and while we're here, I figured we'd test the D-pad out. We're also going to try out the dish style. Right now, I've got Marvel vs. Capcom 2 running here with the Redream emulator, and I've upscaled to 1440p. It's going to handle Dreamcast just fine. The traditional style D-pad that I have installed right now does feel great. I think it's the perfect height. It's got a really nice roll to it. You can play from the middle or the edges. It's really up to you. Like I mentioned before, 98% of Ayaneo's D-pads have been spot on. They've been doing a really good job with them for quite some time now. But I really want to test out this dish style because there are people out there that prefer a D-pad like that. Okay, so now that I've got it installed, roll kind of feels the same. You can see it does raise it up a bit, just the way this thing is designed. So we'll get in here and see if we can pull some of these off. Not too bad. So really nice action on it. So far, not too bad, but let's get up close and try some uppercuts. And yeah, I kind of thought that this would happen. I usually run into this with detachable D-pads. You can see that I'm trying to pull these uppercuts off, and it's almost impossible, at least for me. If I practice more, I mean, there's a chance that I could get used to this, but I'm probably going to be sticking with the traditional D-pad. Taking it up a bit to some Gamecube and Wii emulation with the Dolphin Emulator. Here we've got Auto Modalista, and I kind of suspected this was going to be the case. With this, we can actually go up to a 4x resolution scale, and I'll show you real quick. With these Snapdragon chips, we want to use OpenGL, so that's what I'm using here. If we go to our enhancements, internal resolution, you can see we're at 4x, which is 2560 by 2112, and it runs amazingly. I mean, it's at 60 FPS. And for the most part, I've had really good luck with GameCube and Wii at 4x, but there are a couple games that I had to drop it down for. So on YouTube, it's a bit hard to show a lot of emulation nowadays, but I did go through and I tested 5 other games, and I'll give you an idea on how everything ran. For Rogue Squadron 2, 3x 60 FPS. Going up to 4x, it does drop down a bit. F-Zero GX on the Firefield track, which is the harder one to emulate. 3x again. We're still upscaled from native. It'll run at 60. Metroid Prime, 4x 60 FPS. Tatsunoko versus Capcom, 4x 60. And when it comes to Sonic Colors for Wii, 30 FPS 4x. And this is what it natively ran at. There are mods out there that'll allow you to go up to 60, and I'm sure this chipset would handle it. Next thing I wanted to show off here was some PS2 emulation using Nether SX2, OpenGL backend, 3x resolution with God of War 2. Going up to 4 will drop you down a bit, and for the most part we could do 3.5 with Nether SX2, but I just kept it right there at 3. It's a really good resolution for the built-in screen's resolution, and it's running phenomenally at 60 FPS. And just like GameCube and Wii with the Dolphin Emulator, I also tested 5 other games with the Nether SX2 emulator here. Devil May Cry 3, 3x 60 FPS. Tekken 5, we can take that up to 4x. Gran Turismo 4, 4x 60 FPS. Sly Cooper, had to drop that one down to 3, and of course something like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 can run at 4x resolution, 60 FPS. I didn't even test any PSP because I know for a fact that we can take most of the stuff up to 10x on this chip, which is just way overkill for the built-in screen. But when it comes to the new Ayaneo Pocket S2 Pro, this thing has been trucking right along. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really good handheld. It's up on Indiegogo right now, and I do need to spend a few more days with it before I do my final review. We'll take a look at battery life, temperatures, benchmarks over there, so keep an eye on the channel. But so far, I've been having a really good time with this thing, and if you want to learn a little more, maybe back to Indiegogo, I'll leave links in the description. And if there's anything else you want to see running on the Pocket S2 Pro in my full review, just let me know in the comments below. But that's going to wrap it up for our first look here, and like always, thanks for watching.